Hello. This is Christina Barton. You're watching Black Tea News. Hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about the Brittany Griner situation and the trade. Man, the Russians are apparently mocking us for what happened, but I don't remember if I read Trump's tweet on the show because I think maybe I posted that afterwards on Facebook, but we're going to talk about that. And also, I was out to dinner last night. My sister was talking about the scene from Lord of War, which is allegedly based off the Merchant of Death, who we traded Brittany for. And so people are talking about it because he says at the end of the film, he gets caught and he's like, you're going to let me go. You're going to get a phone call from someone who outranks you and you're going to let me go. Basically because I do business with everyone and I do business with people who are the enemies of your enemies. Therefore, United States also needs me as well. So there's these conspiratorial kind of stuff going on about just the ways of the world as far as war goes. And also NBC had reported that there was the choice that the Russians gave of Brittany or the Marine, and that they chose Brittany, and then the White House said that they didn't give them the option. And so NBC went ahead and I guess they've now corrected that, but they had got it from a source, which I had heard that also yesterday as well, but I didn't mention it because I'm like, well, I want to see if there's some other kind of source to verify it, because it was a right-wing person, and I just didn't want to mention it because I didn't want to amplify it if there wasn't another source. So I think it's weird. So I think it's worth mentioning. I'm not going to say that was the story. But it is fascinating. I gotta show you this Russian video of them talking about it because it's pretty amazing in a terrible way. Also, Dylan Mulvaney, who I've talked about before. Dylan is a trans activist, actor. Dylan's videos are so pretty ridiculous as he caricaturizes womanhood that many people assume that he's doing some kind of giant troll. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But he's had some association with Tampax. So a lot of people are coming for Tampax. Tampax has a lot of bad PR as of late, which not all of that is related to Dylan, FYI. But women have believed that Dylan was associated with being a sponsor for Tampax, and Dylan has come out with a video saying that he's not, and it became out like a 5-minute video, which we're going to watch together, about him being a victim, and he knows he's not actually a woman, but not a biological woman, or can't have babies or whatever, which he did do a video the other day where he said he wanted someone to impregnate him. So who knows what he believes on what day. But he said he hasn't worked with Tampax. However, he's given women reason to believe that because he's done a video talking about how they reached out for him to be a sponsor or whatever. But then at the very end of the video, he like threatens people. So doing it smiling, but nevertheless, there is a threat there. So I want to show it because you just see the agenda just all the way through. So there's a lot of drama today. Also, some more Twitter files were released yesterday. Barry Weiss, it was her turn to release the batch, and basically it was a confirmation of stuff that we pretty much already knew, that shadow banning exists, which Twitter has gotten away with in the past of denying, because, well, their definition of shadow banning is one that I don't think anyone else thinks about, but they've clearly put different people on lists and disrupted people's different searches and limited their content. But Libs of TikTok is someone that an entire council of people had to get together to determine whether they were going to suspend her or whatever. But they know that she hasn't violated their rules but they still put her on continuous suspensions. And if um, she had did did anything against their rules, they're prepared to get rid of her, which I think is really fascinating because they know that she didn't do anything wrong, but they just don't like her. And it's really fascinating because the libs of TikTok just basically puts a mirror up to the ridiculousness of the world. That's what libs of TikTok does. They don't like really create their own content. They go and find other content of liberals just saying crazy stuff and posting it online. That's how they got big. And then people started sending libs of TikTok tips. And as it became a huge account, then you had Lorenz Taylor from or Taylor Lorenz, that's her name, from Washington Post, who like went to her house and doxed her. And when libs of TikTok reached out to Twitter about her address being online, or a link or something to address being online, they said that didn't violate community guidelines, but they suspended her every other week for not actually violating the rules. So like I said, a lot of drama today that we're going to be talking about, so it should be a juicy show nonetheless. Before we jump into everything, I want to encourage you guys to go to blackteennews.com, check out different content that we have on the website, different articles, different videos. Check out different merch that we have, like the pro-choice men, our sus, which is short for suspect. We have the You Are Not That Special. We got the black tea mug. We also got the You Are Not That Special in the little mugs, and all kinds of goodies that you guys can check out. The I'm Not the Victim You're Looking For shirt, all kinds of stuff. Also, I do write books, and you guys can check out some of those books. Well, if you go to blackteennews.com, hit the merchandise, there is a banner that'll take you to my book website. I'm just trying to find the picture of with my 15. There we go. So we got stuff for kids all the way up to like new adult, young adult stuff. Also have one nonfiction book out as of right now, but my book on abortion will be coming out soon, and I will let you guys know. Which, by the way, I usually do all my own book covers, but my sister did the artwork for the little baby hand and the hand of God reaching out. So she did a fabulous job. She does art herself. She does take commission work. She makes text portraits. She does these beautiful little teeny painting. She can paint bigger as well, but people really like the teeny ones. But her website is text design, Tina's text portraits. So you guys can check out her website, and please, buy something from her. Look at her stuff, compliment her. She's, if you're on Facebook, she's one of the a few accounts that my Black Teen page is following, so it would be easier to maybe find her that way as well. But she does fantastic work, and she got it how I wanted it. So fabulous job. It's the first time I've like collaborated with somebody on actually on my book covers. Like I said, I normally do it myself. I did like do the rest of it, but not much after I got the wonderful art that she did. So I just want to be a gushing big sister and say that my baby sister is so talented and just genuinely a good person. So anyway, let's move on. I don't have a meme prepared for you guys today. Um oh gosh, start with what story? Well, let's go ahead and talk about Twitter. So last night, Barry Weiss, formerly with the New York Times, she left not because she's a right wing person. She was very upset, like a lot of people were, the night Trump was elected. I think she cried in her office space when that happened. But so she's not on the right by any means, but she's just not a crazy person. And because she didn't always, march to the tune of their own or march to the beat of their drum, she's been someone that has been like ridiculed by her coworkers, so former coworkers. So she ended up leaving, which by the way, a lot of people in like journalism and big tech are being laid off. Not just like Meta, you hear people laying off, etc. New York Times has been having some staff went on like a walkout the other day. They're like, please don't play Wordle. And they're very upset about their deals. But like Huffington Post, of all kinds of different places are laying off a lot of people. So it's a fascinating time. But I think we knew like print journalism and stuff was starting to fade a bit anyway. And then Trump probably like cleared, injected some life into them a bit because Trump attracted so much media. But he's still a story, obviously. But and if he comes ends up winning the primary and becomes president again, maybe that'll inject some more life. But a lot of layoffs, a lot of different places, CNN, a lot of people got the axe, and I'm sure that's just not a issue with ideology, as the new owner wants to be seen as legitimate, not just some hackery. Um, Money has a lot to do with it, and viewers have a lot to do with it as well. So it's just a fascinating time to be alive, and a lot of other journalists are going to Substack and being paid well for going over at Substack and getting quite a bit of subscribers. So Barry Weiss is over at Substack, but she also has a new website as well with some other journalists who are I don't know if politically homeless is a good way to put it, but are just different, as far as having some integrity, I guess you could say. So some people tried to come at Barry. Matt Taibbi, who released the first batch of information on Twitter, people came for him and was talking about how he well, they're saying he was carrying water for the world's richest man, and we're trying to attack his integrity. So now they're trying to attack Barry Weiss because at the like near the end of the thread, she actually um promoted her website, God forbid. But she's going to continue to write about these things. But I guess every deal that Elon Musk made for the journalists looking at all the files is they have to release everything on Twitter first. Which, by the way, to these people who are releasing the files or releasing stuff, you can release an entire thread at once, because people, they were tweeting one thing and then you refresh it to like look at the next thing, and it just took so long. And I don't know why they don't just write out the entire thread and then hit post all, tweet all. That, I mean, so just for next time, please don't keep us in suspense. So Barry Weiss said a new Twitter files investigation reveals that teams of Twitter employees build blacklists, prevent disfavored tweets from trending, and actively limit the visibility of entire accounts or even trending topics, all in secret without informing users. Twitter once had a mission to give everyone the power to create and share ideas and information instantly without barriers. Along the way, barriers nevertheless were erected. Take, for example, Stanford's Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, who argued that COVID lockdowns would harm children. Twitter secretly placed him on a trends blacklist, which prevented his tweets from trending. Or consider the popular right wing talk show host Dan Bongino, who at one point was slapped with a search blacklist. And so it's pretty interesting. They have these different tags that they have on people. Dan has a notification spike, search blacklist, Twitter blue verify, multiple accounts, strike count was zero. So he had zero strike counts, but he's still like on a search blacklist. Interesting. Twitter sent the account of conservative activist Charlie Kirk to a do not amplify. Twitter denied that it does such things. In 2018, Twitter's Vijay Gadi, I do not know how to say her name, and Kayvon Kapoor, we do not shadow ban. They added, we certainly don't shadow ban based on political viewpoints or ideology. What many people call shadow banning, Twitter executives and employees call visibility filtering, or VF. Multiple high-level sources confirmed its meaning. So, well, she explains it. Think of visibility filtering as being a way for us to suppress what people see to different levels. It's a very powerful tool. One senior Twitter employee told us VF refers to Twitter's control over user visibility. It used VF to block searches of individual users, to limit the scope of particular tweets' discoverability, to block select users' posts from ever appearing on the trending page, and from inclusion in hashtag searches, all without users' knowledge. They said we control visibility quite a bit, and we control the application of your content quite a bit, and normal people do not know how much we do, one Twitter engineer told us, two additional Twitter employees confirmed. The group that decided whether to limit the reach of certain users was the Strategic Response Team, Global Escalation Team, or the SRTGET. It often handled up to 200 cases a day. But there existed a level beyond official ticketing, beyond the rank and file moderators following the company's policy on paper. That is the site's integrity policy escalation support, known as SIPPES. That secret group included head of legal, policy, and trust, Vijaya Gadi, and a global head in trust safety, Yul Roth, which has those names have popped up quite a bit. Subsequent CEOs, Jack Dorsey and Parag Agrawal, and others. So, um, people are well aware that Twitter has been doing this. And by the way, we all know that other sites do. We know that Facebook does it. It's very obvious that some people are shadow banned or have been hindered. My personal Facebook account I used to get so much traction from people who follow me. And I'm just so, I have like no reach to friends, to family, to political activists on my personal page. It's really, really ridiculous. And I don't post as much as I used to, which that's one of the reasons why. But definitely a big difference whether I post about personal things, or if I post about political stuff, I would get a very far reach, and people are like, It's not like you're on there anymore." I'm like, "Well, I guess I mostly post my black tea stuff, which people have um that could be like suppressed or not suppressed. It's kind of varied. Probably it's not getting as much reach as it should. But my personal page, like, like no, like you can't basically see much of anything. Um, but my main TikTok page, and I've reached out to TikTok multiple times, and only a few times, like recently, have they got back with me. I'm like, I know you guys are suppressing my content. Like my content, like they won't let it. There's when you scroll on TikTok, there's a for you page and there's like a followers page. So you can scroll through content of people that you're actually following, or you could scroll through your for you page, and basically you're most of the time it like puts you on the for you page, and not your following page. And that's how you discover a lot of new stuff, because the algorithm is supposed to like get stuff that suits your interest or whatever. So if you get discovered on the for you page, your stuff trends to the for you page. That's how you find new people and you get new followers. They won't allow on my main TikTok account, my biggest one, to go on the followers page, and it's been that way since February. I thought it would have been well over like 100,000 followers on there. And so I've messaged them multiple times and they wouldn't get back with me for the longest time. And so recently they got back, but they just give you like a cookie cutter answer, and they deny that they are blocking people from getting on the For You page. And I've had some banger videos that I know that did well on other pages, but they should have done well. And then videos that I got other people with larger accounts or other big accounts to amplify, to duet, to stitch, or whatever, or people link back. Still, they won't let you go to For You. And I've gotten some decent views, like several thousand viewed videos from not being able to go on the For You page. And I'm like, this should be like 100,000, 200,000 view video if they allowed it to go on the For You page, but they silenced me. And I've noticed that ever since I posted a video about Joe Rogan show, when Dr. Malone was on the show talking about mass formation psychosis, when they had that interview and I did a video about it, ever since then, that is when I was basically blacklisted on that page, which is crazy because I'm in the creators fund. I used to get enough money, like you can't, not a huge amount of money or anything like that, but enough that if I had a bill to pay for, then I would accumulate enough to like be able to cover a bill or something. Now it's not even like enough to even take out of the account. So all these social media sites do it, and people have been well aware of the fact that they do it, but they keep denying that they do it. And so Twitter and now we know that Twitter does it, but just because Elon Musk spent $44 billion on the company. And so people are like, oh, we got to find out about Facebook and these other places. I don't know how you're going to do that without some kind of cause for the government getting some kind of, I don't know, special subpoena to look through all their files, which I don't foresee that happening. Oh, and Elon Musk can't buy all these companies, and they wouldn't allow him to do that either, because he has some kind of huge monopoly. I don't. They wouldn't let that go through. So we're well aware that they're doing it, and but they said that this is a right wing conspiracy theory. That's what folks have been saying for the longest of time. But now that Barry Weiss has put all this out, now that the rhetoric is shifting to, well, we Twitter's kind of said this, or we've known about, like, no, Twitter denied that this was happening. Now, have they said that sometimes they've like filter content in a way, kind of, but the way that they described shadow banning is essentially like you can't find a person, period, pretty much. And that's not what people are alleging, that you can't find someone online that you follow through some kind of means, but we mean that you are actively suppressing people, and it's obvious that you're doing it. And for what reason? Because you just don't like them. I mean, based off political ideology, and they've denied it several times. Elon Musk is like trolling past people on Twitter, retweeting old screenshots of people claiming that they don't censor people like that based off of ideology. So the most fascinating thing on here is probably the special counsel that they had. And one of the accounts, high follower account that they were after, was Libs of TikTok, which I've talked about Libs of TikTok quite a bit. Libs of TikTok was on the trends blacklist, so they didn't want like any of the topics or stuff that they're talking about to trend. And they were there was a designation as do not take action on the user content without consulting the special group. And so Libs of TikTok has 1.4 million followers and had 6 suspensions in 2022 alone. And each time they were blocked and they couldn't post for about a week. Now, Twitter acknowledges, at least within their internal selves, that she didn't break any rules. She was always suspended for violating their hateful conduct policy. But from a memo within the conversations with in Twitter, they know that she didn't directly break the rules, but they're saying she indirectly broke them because some stuff she was saying could have incited stuff somewhere. So site policy recommends Libs of TikTok, 1.3 million followers, not verified, in a 7-day timeout at the account level, meaning not for a specific tweet. So not for a specific tweet, based on the account's continued pattern of indirectly violating Twitter's hateful conduct policy by tweeting content that either leads to or intends to incite harassment against individuals and institutions. So they're mind reading, like intends to, like, no, she didn't intend to incite anything. Libs of TikTok literally will just repost crazy stuff that liberals say. That is what Libs of TikTok does. Into institutions that support LGBTQ communities at this time, site policy has not found explicitly violative tweets that would result in permanent suspension of the account. So there's nothing that they found that warrants them getting rid of the account. They just don't like what the account does. This type of enforcement action, repeated 7-day timeouts at the account level, will not lead to permanent suspension. However, should Libs of TikTok engage in any other direct tweet level violations of any site policy, we will move forward with permanent suspension. Assessment: since its most recent timeout, while Libs of TikTok have not directly engaged in behavior violative of hateful conduct policy, the user has continued targeting individuals / allies / supporters of the LGBTQIA plus community for alleged misconduct. The targeting of at least one of these institutions, blah blah blah, and they go on. But they know that she didn't violate the rules, but they still didn't care. They would keep suspending her. Now, eventually, after the whole doc situation with Washington Post and Taylor Lorenz, Seth Dillon, who is a CEO of the Babylon Bee, which all this kind of sparked off because someone froze their account basically, and said you can't use your account unless you delete this tweet. And the tweet was that Rachel Levin won Man of the Year. And they're like, we're not deleting it because he's a man. It's true. It's like, so we're gonna stick to our guns, and we'll just, if we, that makes our account go bye-bye, whatever, we're not deleting this. So because of that, Elon called Seth, and there's other stuff. Elon didn't like the Hunter Biden situation either. So, but that was like, I guess, the straw that broke the camel's back. So anyway, Seth Dillon has been working with Libs of TikTok for a minute, I guess. And he kept saying, like, if you permanently suspend her, we're going to sue you. So I just find this interesting because they're so afraid of this particular account, and all it does is lift a mirror up to the insanity that is going on in our world, and they can't take it. They want to do all the stuff that they do in darkness, but the interesting thing about them wanting to do all the stuff is in darkness is that they post it online. They have these public events where they'll have the trans people or the drag people reading to kids in the libraries and doing these really perverted spread eagle dances, and so they do this stuff. But the fact that this account that has a lot of followers amplifies it, and then all these people start talking about it, and then people will call the schools where it's going on, or they'll call the hospitals where it's going on, and they're like, hey, we as a society don't like this, and this is weird, and this is creepy, and it should stop. Or we don't like that you guys are trying to groom our kids in school. We don't like this stuff. The fact that it mobilizes people to action, at least as far as conversation, sometimes pulling your kids out of school, complaining to schools or whatever, not violence, but just some kind of civic engagement. They hate that. And that is equal to violence. Speech is equal to violence to these people. So kudos on Libs of TikTok. Kudos to Libs of TikTok for being such a thorn in their side. Kudos to Elon Musk for doing something great with his money, which it's interesting. So many people will complain about Elon Musk, like he spent $44 billion on TikTok and he could have ended world hunger or something, like to that effect. And it was like, look at how much many people spend on politics and even just like really gross stuff. Like, I don't know, OnlyFans and porn and all that. Like, why don't you get on them and say, hey, instead of like feeding into your filthy bad habits, why don't you, I don't know, feed the orphans or something like that, So Elon Musk, this is a good trying to level the playing field and not allow such a monopoly of corruption to continue. So he did a good thing. And by the way, Elon Musk, there was a number that I think the UN said that Elon Musk, if he could end world hunger. And he's like, lay out a plan and I'll do it. But they couldn't really substantiate their argument, so he didn't spend the money. But he does see that. I don't want anyone to put total trust in another human being, but he does seem like someone who genuinely wants to do good for the world. Now, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, so you got to just watch out for anybody. But I do appreciate him buying Twitter. So I'm interested to see what else will drop with the Twitter files. Some people are trying to downplay it, like, oh, how you guys went from the FBI could be conspiring with the government, or the government conspiring with TikTok, with Twitter, to, oh, they suppress some people's, and they're like, this is a real letdown. I'm like, okay, first of all, if this isn't a big deal, then what was with all the denials that were happening? And by the way, we are well aware of the fact that the Biden administration, all these people were working with these companies to some degree to silence people. And it was never a good thing. And it continues to not be a good thing. And you guys just can't belittle it. And now that there's more evidence with the stuff coming out, which, by the way, the White House did try to deny that they were working with Twitter, but that it's just not true. Jen Psaki has said some stuff that basically has confirmed that they've been pressuring these platforms to do stuff. So let's roll the tape.
Twitter, Elon Musk this week fired the former FBI General Counsel Jim Baker, who was serving as a top Twitter lawyer. Musk alleges that he may have been involved with countermanding his attempts at transparency. And I was wondering if anyone in the Biden administration was in touch with Baker either regarding moderation decisions that critics call political censorship or regarding his transparency efforts recently?
So it's up to private companies to make these types of decisions. We were not involved. I can say that. We were not involved.
Um, they've been involved forever with stuff. And maybe she means particular with Baker, but the White House has been involved for a while. And whether you like say, hey, we're going to break your kneecaps if you don't censor these people we don't like, it's been very clear that they've been harassing Twitter to operate in a certain way. And when the government gets involved, whether they are asking nicely or not asking nicely, um, there's always a bit of a threat there. I would say, because it could always turn into, we're going to legislate the crap out of you if you don't do what we want, or we're going to find a way to shut you down, or we're going to find a way to fine you, or we're going to so let's just, I don't know, go back in time a little bit, just a little bit.
Providing for Facebook or other platforms to measure and publicly share the impact of misinformation on their platform and the audience it's reaching. Also with the public, with all of you, to create robust enforcement strategies that bridge their properties and provide transparency about rules. You shouldn't be banned from one platform and not others for providing misinformation out there.
So that was Jen Psaki saying that she thinks that if you get banned on Facebook for misinformation, then you should be banned on YouTube or TikTok or all these different places, that nowhere should be safe if you are someone who operates in misinformation. So let's go a little bit deeper.
This is a big issue of misinformation, specifically on the pandemic. In terms of actions, Alex, that we have taken, or we're working to take, I should say, from the federal government, we've increased disinformation research and tracking within the Surgeon General's office. We're flagging problematic posts for Facebook that spread disinformation. We're working with doctors and medical professionals to connect to connected medical experts with popular who are popular with their audiences with accurate information and boost trusted content. So we're helping get trusted content out there. We also created the COVID Community Corps to get factual information into the hands of local messengers. And we're also investing, as you all have seen, in the president's, the vice president's, and Dr. Fauci's time in meeting with influencers who also have large reaches to a lot of these target audiences who can spread and share accurate information. You saw an example of that yesterday. I believe that video will be out tomorrow. I think that was your question, Steve, yesterday. I did a full follow-up there. There are also proposed changes that we have made to social media platforms, including Facebook. And those specifically are 4 key steps. One, that they measure and publicly share the impact of misinformation on their platform. Facebook should provide publicly and transparently data on the reach of COVID vaccine misinformation, not just engagement, but the reach of the misinformation and the audience that it's reaching. That will help us ensure we're getting accurate information to people. This should be provided not just to researchers, but to the public, so that the public knows and understands what is accurate and inaccurate. Second, that we have proposed that they create a robust enforcement strategy that bridges their properties and provides transparency about the rules. So I think this was a question asked before, there's about 12 people who are producing 65% of anti-vaccine misinformation on social media platforms. All of them remain active on Facebook, despite some even being banned on other platforms, including Facebook, ones that Facebook owns. Third, it's important to take faster action against harmful posts. As you all know, information travels quite quickly on social media platforms. Sometimes it's not accurate, and Facebook needs to move more quickly to remove harmful, violative posts. Posts that will be within their policies for removal often remain up for days. That's too long. The information spreads too quickly. Finally, we have proposed they promote quality information sources in their feed algorithm. Facebook has repeatedly shown that they have the leverage to promote quality information. We've seen them effectively do this in their algorithm over low quality information, and they've chosen not to use it in this case, and that's certainly an area that would have an impact. So these are certainly the proposals. We engage with them regularly, and they certainly understand what our asks are.
Yeah, so we know that a lot of things that they said was misinformation wasn't really misinformation. The White House and Biden and other folks have spread misinformation, and they were dishonest about the effectiveness of the COVID vaccines. And um, like I said, when the government gets involved, they're doing it. There's always, whether it's a obvious threat of a gun or the veiled threat of a gun. Um, you know, some stuff with businesses took action even before like OSHA got involved with that particular mandate, because they still had pressure from the government to make them want to implement different rules for folks. And then when that wasn't enough, they actually literally decided to just do it themselves. So them being involved, writing different rules, saying, "Hey, we think you shouldn't be able to be on Facebook if you got booted off Twitter," which, by the way, they did actively get people booted off of Twitter. And there's different other free speech lawsuits that are going on, which I think Jen Psaki actually has to speak in one, was subpoenaed and has to speak on one. So the White House has been involved. We know the White House has been involved. How deeply they've been involved, I don't know what's been deleted or what is still there, but they'll continue to dig, and I'm sure there'll be more juicier stuff that's going to come out with the Twitter files. But um, it's not a good thing that someone had to buy the company for $44 billion to get this kind of honesty. But again, a lot of the stuff we're aware of what was going on. But it is nice to, I guess, have some hard proof, I guess. But it would be better if they just stopped it. And we know this has happened on Twitter, and we know it's been happening on other in other places, for sure. Before I go into the Dylan Mulvaney story, just wanted to quickly mention that the Energy Department official accused of stealing luggage has also been accused of stealing luggage at another place, at the Henry Reid International Airport. So it's a pattern, which I think when we talked about it, I said, I'm pretty sure it's a pattern. And this is just a fetish that he probably has, to go around and cross dress and to steal women's clothing. I'm not saying that he doesn't think that he's actually non-binary or whatever, but there is definitely a fetish here for Sam Brinton. And I also read a pretty fascinating article. Sam Brinton has said that he had very traumatic conversion therapy, and so he's been elevated and had all these sort of interviews about that and talked about his experiences. But as there's a queer website that dug a little deeper, because they are, again, this particular reporter or whatever who looked into it is against conversion therapy, and they're like, we shouldn't be promoting someone who doesn't check out. And the more that they asked Brinton to verify, like, what was the name of your therapist, or what was the name of the place you got treated, like, they're like, it's too traumatic. And it's like, you can remember, details about how they treated you, but you can't, and continues to have interviews about it, but it's too traumatic to talk about where it was, or so there was a lot of sketchy stuff. So just, and his like parents in his past said that they denies other claims that he's made about abuse and stuff, which they have an interest in denying it. But it seems like this person is just someone who has created a story to get this sort of notoriety, but he is genuinely a creep. So interesting story, creepy story. I had shared a post about Sam Brinton, and my sister said, "You're going to give me nightmares." So again, I'll give ladies this advice: don't spend too much on your luggage and make it all feminine and frilly, and or just get yourself a normal bag, because if it's an expensive bag, people might think there's expensive stuff in it and swipe it. You just need to get to A to B. You want something that's going to keep all your stuff together. But and I understand like why you'd want to pay a lot for it, but there's someone like Sam out there, I guess, stealing your luggage. But again, I guess it is comforting to know that they are on the case and finding out some of this stuff. But he hadn't, with the first case going on, he hadn't been totally let go. So I don't know if he has now, but this is clearly a problem, an issue, and he should not be affiliated with our government. And it's embarrassing that he has been. So just wanted to mention that before we go on to this story involving Tampax and Dylan Mulvaney. So Tampax is getting some bad PR. People are very angry buying different kind of sanitary napkins and other things like that. Because some of it has to do with Dylan Mulvaney, who is a trans activist. He's a Broadway actor who came out. Well, I guess he didn't have to come out as gay, but he's gay, and then he came out as non-binary, I think, maybe, and then said he was a woman, or maybe he just went to I'm a girl, whatever. So he has a saga of first day of being a girl, day 2 of being a girl, whatever. So that's his spiel. The way that he's portrayed girlhood has been very triggering for some, anger inducing for others, just disturbing for others, annoyed for others. But it's clearly like a caricature of womanhood, and a lot of people just haven't appreciated it. And I had a viral video talking about it on TikTok. It got taken down. Was not surprised in the least bit. But I compared it to blackface. And I don't see how it's not like putting on a minstrel show, or basically how the way that they're caricaturizing women, particularly Dylan. And I guess drag is like a minstrel show mocking womanhood as well. But people got so upset. I said, if Dylan Mulvaney if you can consider him a woman, how come you can't consider Rachel Dolezal a woman? And people say it's a ridiculous comparison, but people haven't been able to tell me why it's a ridiculous comparison. I think it makes more sense for someone to be transracial or to identify that way than it say that you're a man and you're saying you're a woman, which I think both are ridiculous. But the only pushback that I'll get is well, race is a social construct. And I'm like, okay, but one of the tenets of CRT that's actually less controversial, that's not controversial, is that race is a social construct. So you gotta come with something different. And people are offended by what I said, but no one can explain why I'm wrong. So it's interesting. So it got taken down to TikTok. I reposted on YouTube, and YouTube, it has more than it had 1.5 million views last I looked at it. So yeah, I've talked about Dylan before. So Dylan, people are under the impression that he is with Tampax. And so Dylan has done a video explaining that he's not really with Tampax. So I'm going to go ahead and play it for you guys. But the ending of the video is really interesting because there's like a thread at the end of it. And I want people to be aware. I saw it on Twitter first, and the ending wasn't in it. People were quoting the ending. And I watched it several times, like, there's no threat in here. So I went on his TikTok page, and lo and behold, it is at the very end. So we're going to watch this together. Bear with me. Some people are like, I can't get through the first 30 seconds or something. I'm like, I'm sorry. But we gotta watch it. So here we go.
Me want to be a girl, or I'll say woman for this one, because this video is for the women on Twitter who just really don't like me. Hello, ladies. We got a lot to cover, but let's first talk tampons. I haven't talked about tampons on here lately because I don't use them. I'm a woman who doesn't have a uterus. I know this. And science was my strongest subject in high school. I was also shockingly good at math, but I digress. I just sometimes carry one in case anybody needs it. And that seems to have just set the world on fire in some pretty nasty ways. And this is a conversation that's been going on for months. I just haven't chimed in because I'm so tired of sticking up for myself over something that was so pure intentioned. But now Twitter is just ablaze. And this week, there's some women that are now coming for Tampax, and I wanted to clear the air. So I have some amazing news. Are you ready? I have never worked with Tampax before. The most that happened was they sent me a few boxes of tampons back in April, just in case I bumped into anyone, including yourselves, and I gave them all away. I've got a few left. And this one's really going to blow your mind. I have never made $1 off of feminine hygiene products. So I hope that helps you sleep better at night knowing that. And no need to bring Tampax into this. But the bigger problem at hand is that you feel me carrying a tampon around is a threat to you and your womanhood. How is someone doing something nice so repulsive to you? Because listen to this. If a man...
So, he's talking about, well, I find the gaslighting very repulsive, I guess. Let's just watch a little bit more.
Whether he was your boyfriend or your husband, could even be your gay best friend, kept a tampon for you at his house just in case you needed it, you'd gush over him. You would run to brunch on Sunday and tell all your gal pals that he's so thoughtful and he cares and he listens. And then a trans woman does it, and all of a sudden I'm the reason that there's a tampon shortage. You know, it's not because I'm misogynistic, it's because you're transphobic.
So, if you look at other videos that Dylan has done, there's a reason why women view him as misogynistic, because he plays into so many stereotypes of womanhood that are harmful, and that it just plays off as a caricature. And it's such a caricature. People are questioning and have questioned if Dylan is actually just being a caricature of trans women. And I've seen people reply to this video on Twitter saying that they were a trans woman and they're very offended by Dylan and just as cringe and is making them look bad. So Dylan is going to talk about how he actually knows that he's a man, etc., and he doesn't actually, use the tampons, and he knows he can't actually use the tampons or whatever. First of all, I've never asked a man for a tampon, and I wouldn't think to ask a man for a tampon. That is not a normal thing. And plenty of women commenting and talking about it are like, that's not really a thing. Like asking the men for tampons. I guess there is like feminist moms or whatever who are convincing their sons to keep them in their backpack for their friends. I don't use tampons. I use pads personally, but maybe that's TMI. But I feel pain just to be upfront, and then I know it's time to buy. That's like I have an internal warning system, and it's pain, and then I go to the store if I don't have any on me, because women should keep one in their purse or whatever but I'll go home. I got a little bit of time usually when I start to feel like I'm like literally being stabbed and I'll go get one. So I don't know, it's weird, and you keep watching, you'll see why I can't find the least bit sincere. Keep watching.
We got to work through this. And babe, caring for others, it's the bare minimum. You might not like me, but I care about you. I care about your feelings. I care about your opinion of me, which I'm really trying to get over. And the last thing I will say, and this will probably make you feel really good, is that I'm jealous of you. I wish I was born in your body. I wish I had a uterus. My sex assigned at birth was a biological male. Does that make you feel better hearing me say that? It's just not what God had in mind. So here I am. There's probably a lot of women that you don't like to group yourself with, but they're still women. And so am I.
Not the least bit.
And now it feels like high school, and it feels like you want me to experience the pain and trauma that you've had to endure as a girl. And the fact that here I am, attempting to enjoy womanhood is incomprehensible to you.
You can't enjoy it because you're not a woman, though. Like Dylan's first video, which he has actually come back and apologized after he got like thrashed for it. was like, first day of being a girl, I wrote a scathing email and didn't send it. I cried a lot. It was stuff like that. And then he does videos like he's frolicking in the woods in high heels, just really crazy stuff. And he did that video about normalizing the bulge, and he's saying he can't carry use tampons, but he also, said in a video recently that he told his mom that he was going to get impregnated. So there's just like these delusional videos that he still puts out, and what women want, we don't want him to need to experience the pain of a period or having cramps, which, by the way, if you're unaware of what it feels like, no, granted, not all women feel the periods the same kind of way or experience pain with it, but I've talked to a lot of women, and they seem to think this description is quite accurate, that you remember the movies Aliens, right? It feels like the alien from Aliens is inserting you with its baby, like from the front of your kuka, we'll call it, and is trying to exit through your butthole. That's what it actually feels like. Now, it's not that I want Dylan to have to experience that pain, and he can't, and I don't know why you'd wish it on your worst enemy continuously for majority of your life. I I wouldn't want to wish that for him to feel that, to feel that, to qualify to be in the club. But the truth of the matter is that you just don't qualify because you're not a woman, period. It just is what it is. And what's interesting about Tampax and women can be pregnant, and people insist it's just a identity or a social construct as far as being a woman, and then they want to keep including things that tend to be biological to continue to blur the line. Like he's going to say, don't call on me when you go to the bathroom, don't call the police when you see me in the bathroom. Why do you need to be in my bathroom? You're a man, you admit it, you're a biological man. Go pee with the men. You don't need to be in my bathroom. You don't need to be in my bathroom. You don't need to be in my locker room. I don't know why you've convinced yourself that you need to, because you're still a man. So go use the urinal, or if you got to take a number 2, there's a toilet in there for that. But you don't need to be in my bathroom, taking up space doing your makeup. Like, you don't need to be in my bathroom. That's what's so weird, because they keep saying it's a construct, but they want to do physical things where it's playing in sports, where a lot of these folks obviously have an advantage. They want to be in these women's prisons, not because it's a social. They're trying to blur all these lines. So if it's just about how you dress and wearing makeup and frolicking in the woods in high heels, which women don't do, maybe the woman out there somewhere does, but that is not normal. Maybe someone out there does it. But if it's about those things, you can do those things and say that you are a man. People are claim they're tired of these gender roles, yet they want to put these stereotypes to being a man, to being a woman, and put people in those boxes. If it's like different qualities of femininity, masculinity are on a spectrum, then you can just be an effeminate man, but you still can't be a woman, regardless of how much makeup you wear, how you do your hair, and how much pink you own. That doesn't make you a woman. So I don't need, whether he admits that he's a biological male and can't have children, which he did say recently that he said someone was going to impregnate him. That is what he said. And him carrying tampons or Tampax. Let me, I think I uploaded this. Another reason that Tampax, now this is from 2020, but Tampax has had their own issues with their customer base. Now there's another tweet I don't have that tweet, but I'll tell you what the tweet was in a second. This is from 2020. Fact, not all women have periods. Also fact, not all people with periods are women. Let's celebrate the diversity of all people who bleed. Now, this is so weird. I don't know a single woman who loves their periods like their period. I don't. And the only time I think women are really concerned about not having their period pop up is when they're concerned about fertility issues. Like it's too late to have kids, or it's, they're concerned that they can't have kids. They're concerned that something is wrong. But this obsession with periods, it is strange. It is very strange how they want men to be able to say they're men and have periods. If certain things are biological, why are all these trans people fighting to be including in these things that are biological? Having babies, having periods, to the point where they don't want us to say mothers. They want us to say people who are pregnant, pregnant people. So people keep saying, well, we're not a threat to you. It's kind of seems like you're trying to change the whole landscape of the world to fit your ideology, and we're just supposed to just not notice it. We're supposed to not notice it, which another trans person did a video, which I replied to. I'm surprised it's still up on TikTok, be frank. But they said, we're not a threat to you. And I'm like, and I said, bro, the Biden administration is making it so, because of the new Title IX rules, if your school doesn't let a boy into a girl's locker room, if they say that they're girl or play in the girls' sports or whatever, it can be seen as discrimination, and they can be denied free lunch programs. Now, I from the time I was in elementary to the time I graduated, I was on free lunch. I was a low income kid, which I didn't know until like middle school that it was based on your income. And one kid asked me like, "Oh, you get free lunch? You must," because I didn't realize everybody didn't get free lunch. I mentioned it to someone and in class, and they're like, "No, that's for like low income." I was like, "What do your parents make?" And I was like, I was just so embarrassed all of a sudden. But yeah, I was a low income kid. So I had the school lunch program. So me and other kids like me who grew up are in danger of not having those school lunch being paid for if people like Dylan can't use our bathrooms in schools. So if you're the kind of person who's like, Mr. President, that's madness, then I guess you're not a threat and you're just living your life. But we know Dylan went to the White House to talk to the Biden administration, and they want everything to be affirmed. They want everything to be affirmed, and Dylan wants to go into your lady's bathroom, and he's going to mention it. Let's keep watching it so we can get through the whole thing.
You know, whether it's that I carry tampons, or that I'm too feminine, or I call myself a girl, or that I'll never birth a child, well, here's some more good news for you. I'm not enjoying my womanhood as much as I was, and my pain might be different than your pain, but it's very real. So if that was your goal, then congrats. But I'm still a woman, and I'm tired, and we don't have to be BFFs, and you don't have to follow me. Just please don't call the police on me if we bump into each other in the bathroom.
I will. I absolutely will. 100%. It depends where I am, I guess, because in California, other places, it won't really matter. But probably if I see you in the bathroom and you're in the bathroom, I am alone in the bathroom with you at the same time, I will not just smile at you, Dylan. Get out my bathroom. You have a penis. Go to your penis room. Go to your penis room. You don't belong in the bathroom with me. You don't. You don't. If it's just about how you identify, then you wouldn't need all these people who are having surgery, who are on hormones, which apparently Dylan is on hormones. If it's just about a social construct and enjoying wearing pink and makeup and all that stuff, you don't need all that stuff. You don't need to, but there's something else. People understand that sex and gender are meaningfully intertwined, that they're basically meaningless without the other. And that's why they have to include all of this stuff that is biological within their womanhood experience. And that's why they have to mix. And that's why we're to the point where people are saying people who bleed, people with periods, or you can't say mothers, it's pregnant people. So we have noticed this. And if society doesn't stand up and say, this is enough, we're going to get to the point where everyone who can look around and see that this is madness, we're going to be silenced and bullied, which we're getting to the point where the threat comes in.
You know, my only agenda is to try to find the will to wake up every day and find some ounce of happiness. And believe it or not, somehow I love you. And P.S., I am also very nervous for you, just because hopefully soon transphobia won't be as tolerated online, but your tweets are forever, and I don't want those to come back and haunt you. Okay? Bye.
So that was a very I don't know if you, I was gonna say very passive aggressive, but did that feel passive aggressive, or did it feel like more aggressive? So Dylan says, "Don't call on me. Don't call the police on me when we're alone in the bathroom." Which, by the way, one day, very soon, hopefully very soon, your transphobia. I'm not a misogynist, but you're transphobic because you don't like me in your bathrooms, because you don't like me having tampons and all that other. You're transphobic. So one day, very soon, your sort of attitudes won't be tolerated on social media. So I'm very concerned for you. Is that not a threat? Is that not a threat? Is that not a threat? On my video about Dylan, which when I said it's basically like blackface, and it doesn't make sense that that people can believe that Rachel Dolezal isn't a black woman, that she got ridiculed. Or you had that one influencer who said he was Korean. They were like, no, you can't be Korean. So those people can't be transracial. That's crazy. But Dylan here has to be a woman. And I'm like, these things don't make sense. So if she's not black, why is he a woman? And people are like, there's so many transphobic comments. And some people called me a TERF. And I'm like, I'm not a feminist, so I'm definitely not a TERF. But they said my video was transphobic. And by the way, I don't care if you think that of me. It's like not the least bit offensive. One, because it's not true. And two, I just don't understand why you think I would care. I don't understand why you think that I would care, because you're a stranger on the internet, meaning to be harmful and mean to me anyway. Like, why would I care that you're hurling out that kind of insult? Like, congratulations, you can type, but like, it's not a dagger to my heart or anything. So you can keep slinging that word around, but it's just going to continue to be untrue. But if just because I trigger you doesn't mean that the word applies. But they throw that around. So you can be as aggressive as I am on this topic, or simply just say, "No, Dylan, you're not a woman. You can't experience womanhood," something like that. People would still consider transphobic, or not using terminology like pregnant people or people who bleed or whatever. They'll say it's transphobic. And those are things that Dylan hopefully says one day, very soon, won't be tolerated online. And it's in your, so they wanted to make it so that you are the pariah, that you are bullied into compliance, which, by the way, there's a book that I think either came out in the 80s or the 90s, and it was about the gay agenda and how they could use AIDS to basically make it, gay people like a protected class. And there was different propaganda techniques. There was like a Harvard psychology professor and like a Harvard person who was into marketing who like wrote the book, and there was different techniques. And I wrote about it a bit in an article I wrote about gay marriage. But one of the techniques is jamming. So so they use different sort of terminologies and to make you conflate different things to other stuff. Like, you'll see a lot of people compare interracial to gay marriage, and so if you're how on the lines of people who are like pro Jim Crow or KKK, if you aren't for same-sex marriage or whatever, and they get to the point where you can't disagree with them without being a bigot or something, or viewed as a bigot. So there's always further left that people can go. And so this is what Dylan is banking on, that you will be the new sort of reviled person if you don't accept the fact that he's a woman. So sorry, if it's up to me, we're not living in his world. We're not living in his world. And I won't use anyone's preferred pronouns. I strongly discourage anyone from using anyone's preferred pronouns. And I know a lot of people want to be respectful to different individuals, especially if they know them in real life. However, he says he has no agenda besides waking up happy every day. Well, he's going to have to cake on some more concealer, because we can see the agenda. We can see the agenda, especially with that thread at the end. And he could have played the victim the entire video, but at the end, he's like, I'm very concerned for you. How would you feel if you were alone, if you're a female alone in the bathroom with Dylan or just any other man, and they come up to you and they're like, I'm very concerned for you? Yeah, how would you like? How would you feel about that? Would you not feel threatened? Would you not feel threatened? I'm not threatened as in afraid of Dylan. I just realize what he's doing. I just realized what he's doing. So don't let these people win, please. Don't let these people win. But another reason why Tampax is in trouble with their customer base is because they tweeted out a disgusting tweet that said, you're in her DMs, talking about like direct messages online, but we're inside of her. We are not equal. So people are like, well, that's gross. And Always had replied to them and they said, how long have you had this tweet? And they said, since last period. So people are like, 9-year-olds use your products. 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, like kids use your products. To have this really disgusting sexual joke is not cool. I'm like, what kind of perv like runs the company? Or the Twitter account or whatever. So they did eventually apologize for the joke, but I can't remember exactly what the apology was, but it didn't seem great. But it was disgusting. So they have a lot of issues. They've had a lot of issues. And Dylan, the last thing I want to show you guys from Dylan said that he hasn't gotten paid from Tampax. He's not a sponsor of Tampax. And if anyone is wondering, well, how did that spread if that's not the case? Well, curiouser and curiouser, how did people start to get that sort of idea? Well, it could be this.
Butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high. Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow.
So that was a trend on TikTok where people would do reading rainbow and there's a space thing and you're just kind of thinking. And for those of you who can't see it, it says when Tampax offers to sponsor you, but you don't have and has a cat, talking about a pussy. So how did people get that impression that Dylan was a sponsor of Tampax? Or sponsor of Dylan or whatever? Maybe it's because he put that out there. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that something couldn't have fell through. But he's the one who put that out there on his page where he has millions of followers. So thanks for the clarification, bro. Let's move on. I'm going to very quickly, gosh, I'm over already. Talk about Brittany Griner, which she was released the other day. There's a conspiracy going on. Because there's a cut here. I'm going to play the video of when she was released. And people think that she tried to shake the Merchant of Death's hand. So she kind of leaned in and then there was a cut. So I get probably bad optics and they didn't want that to be the takeaway that she shook hands with a supplier of weapons and such. So I don't know, but cutting away like that, it's not like it was a smooth cut. Which NBC, by the way, had reported that they could have had the option for Brittany, or they could have had the option for Whelan, the Marine who's still left behind. And so they've changed their story to update it with the White House, because the White House was saying that they really didn't give them the option of having Whelan. But so they've corrected it, and then other stories related to it, they don't mention that there's a correction. But a senior U.S. official told NBC News that the U.S. government had sought to have both Griner and Whelan released as part of a swap with Kremlin, which wanted to return a Viktor Bout, a Russian arms dealer who has served 11 years of a 25-year sentence in the U.S. But the official said Russia has treated Whelan differently because he is accused of a spy, and that the Kremlin gave the White House a choice of either Griner or Whelan or none. But they had reported, though, that there was a choice. Now, there was another person who had reported there was a choice I saw yesterday, but I didn't want to mention it because I'm like, well, that's interesting. That's fascinating, but I want to see if someone else confirms it. So it's being walked back, but it would be interesting if they did have an option. And so Russia has been dogging us or laughing about the fact that Brittany Griner went home and not Whelan. So let me go ahead and show it to you guys.
Забавило, хотя не удивило, то, что обменяли Бута все-таки на Грайнер, а не на Уилна. Я, во-первых, поздравляю Бута, поздравляю всю его семью. Мы много лет были на связи с его семьей, насколько было это возможно с ним самим. Как-то, насколько это было возможно, общались. Это, конечно, огромная радость, облегчение для всех нас. Ну, для всех нас, ладно, что это для семьи, я даже не могу себе представить. Но то, что его обменяли не на героя-разведчика.
Не, им пиар нужен.
Ведь он же разведчик.
Уиллан,
да? Он разведчик. Его приняли,
Шпион.
что называется, при передаче информации на флешке. Он там рассказывал, что это он на флешке хотел, вот ему должны были фотографии церквей Сергиева Посада передать на флешке. Фотографии церквей по WhatsApp друг другу передают. Правда же, как мы берем? Смотри, где я был. Для этого флешку не приносит. Вполне себе нормального качества, не хуже, чем на флешке. Он разведчик. Ну, для нас он шпион, для них он разведчик, то есть герой. Он морпех. Он увешан орденами. У него одна проблема, две. Проблема первая — три. Проблема первая — он белый. Вторая — он мужчина. Третья — он, судя по всему, все-таки гетеро. Понимаешь, а этого сейчас вообще не прощают. Это катастрофа.
Не, ну Грайнер здесь бьет его по всем параметрам.
И как может американскому избирателю дали выбор? Герой, пострадавший на службе Отечеству. Он же по службе пострадал. Герой, увешанный орденами, пострадавший за то, что он работал на свою родину, на США. Или чернокожая лесбиянка, наркозависимая, пострадавшая за какой-то вейп с гашишем. Американский избиратель...
очень известная.
Да.
Очень известная. То есть в пиаровском плане...
Американский избиратель выбирает очевидное. И я считаю, что для нас это вторая хорошая новость. Первая хорошая новость, что Бут вернулся, а вторая хорошая новость, что нация, которая до такой степени наплевать на своих героев, что она считает значительно более важным вызволить действительно за дело пострадавшую, пусть она известная, спортсменка, неважно, но она пострадала не за то, что она родине служила, а за то, что она гашиш свой не могла без него там 10 часов обойтись или сколько, да? Вместо того, чтобы вызволить человека, который 2 года уже сидит, на секундочку, и который родине служил, и за это служить, это о многом говорит. Это много говорит о состоянии этого общества, этих спецслужб и всего того, что имеет отношение к противостоянию геополитическому.
Oh boy. I hate how much he had us pegged, man. So they know, they're saying, well, the Marine, his issue is that he's white, he's not gay, you know, and they realize that he didn't check the intersectionality boxes, and that we are looking at so much things culturally with this left-wing bent that she was the preferred person that they would want, and she did break their laws. She was like rightfully charged. Now, was her sentence harsh? Yes. Would anyone want to be stuck in Russia? No, absolutely not. But they recognize that this is a big joke, as far as the deal that we took, and not at least getting them both back. And Trump what kind of deal is it to swap Brittany Griner, basketball player who openly hates our country, for the man who's known as the merchant of death, who is one of the biggest arms dealers anywhere in the world and responsible for tens of thousands of deaths and the horrific injuries? Why hasn't the former Marine Paul Whelan included in this totally one-sided transaction? He would have been let out for the asking. What a stupid, unpatriotic embarrassment for the USA. So it is interesting that we are at war with Russia, or Ukraine's at war with Russia, but it's like a proxy war, let's be honest. And they let out an arms dealer. So I was at dinner yesterday with my sister, and we were talking about this, and I'm aware of the fact that the Lord of War, I haven't seen the film, is based on Victor Bout, the Merchant of Death. And so this movie has Nicolas Cage. So she told me the ending. And so people have been talking about the ending. So I'm going to go ahead and play it. Because the fact that he was released, and some people are like, this is now the greatest ending of all time because of what happened with Brittany Griner. Because this guy is now out. And it makes people question if there's something bigger going on. I'm not saying that that's the case, but people are asking these questions, especially, I don't know, this ending seems quite prophetic now. So I'm going to go ahead and play the ending to this movie. If you haven't seen it before, Lord of War with Nicolas Cage.
There's going to be a knock on that door and you will be called outside. In the hall, there will be a man who outranks you. First, he'll compliment you on the fine job you've done, that you're making the world a safer place, that you're to receive a commendation and a promotion. And then he's going to tell you that I am to be released. You're going to protest. You'll probably threaten to resign. But in the end, I will be released. The reason I'll be released is the same reason you think I'll be convicted. I do rub shoulders with some of the most vile, sadistic men calling themselves leaders today. But some of those men are the enemies of your enemies. And while the biggest arms dealer in the world is your boss, the President of the United States, who ships more merchandise in a day than I do in a year, sometimes it's embarrassing to have his fingerprints on the guns. Sometimes he needs a freelancer like me to supply forces he can't be seen supplying. So, you call me evil, but unfortunately for you, I'm a necessary evil.
And he got, of course, the knock, but you already saw what happened. So yeah, that's the ending of that film. And now this man is out. And I already showed you guys a video of that moment, which it totally looked like Brittany there was about to shake his hand, and they cut that video. And the Russians know that at least why she was swapped, or it's at least their perception that she was swapped as opposed to an American hero, because she's a black gay woman. That's their perception, and I'm sure that's other people's perception as well. And it just doesn't bode well for which, by the way, this last thing I'm going to show you guys, and then I'm going to go. MSNBC, Brittany Griner is finally free, but her peril is that of a black woman in America. The conditions that brought the U.S. basketball player to Russia in the first place, and perhaps what have kept her there for so long, reflect the vulnerability of that often comes with being a black woman. Well, as a black woman, I can tell you, I've never done drugs. I've never done drugs. Just FYI. It's never enough. Never. It's never enough. It's never enough. There's always more left-wing agenda to push in this crazy world. Anyway, I've got to go. Thank you guys for joining me. If you want to see more, go to blacktnews.com, check out different articles, different videos that I have. Please check out different merch that I have, like the Defeat Joe Biden Denounce White Supremacy t-shirt with a list of some of the racism on the back, the I'm not the victim you're looking for. I got the Be Better Not Bitter shirt. I got tons of books and stuff that you guys can check out. I have a historical fiction, fantasy, drama. Think like, I don't know, Harriet Tubman meets X-Men, Roots meets X-Men, good stuff in there. I got nonfiction books as well. I got children's chapter books. My sister, who did the fabulous art, I did the artwork for that right there, but who did the book cover for God is Blatantly Against Abortion. I'm trying to find it right here. She's also working on my artwork for a children's book that I did, and hopefully it'll be out middle of next year. But I'll keep you up to date and all that good stuff. But if you go to blacktnews.com, if you go to merchandise, you can find all the merch that I'm selling, but you can also see the banner. It'll take you over to Ninja Disc Publishing. NinjaDiscPublishing.com is my book website. If you search my name, Christina Elbar, on Amazon, you'll be able to find my stuff. But God bless you guys, and I will see you on Monday. Also, if you like Black Tea News, consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com. It costs a stream cost to run my website, all that good stuff. If you'd like to support the overhead, I thank you, and please do that at the website. God bless you guys. Keep sharing, subscribing, etc. Make sure you're hitting notification bells, all that other kind of stuff, because just simply subscribing isn't enough for these channels, and they still suppress otherwise. But you guys know I come on at 4 o'clock. So God bless you.